There's a particular kind of loneliness that lives inside people who are always okay. You know the ones. They smile when asked. They say, "I'm fine," with such practiced ease that no one questions it. They show up, they function, they hold it together while others fall apart. And no one, not even those closest to them, realizes they're drowning. But you do, because maybe you're one of them. There's a violence in pretending, not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that erases you slowly, one "I'm fine" at a time, until you no longer know what you actually feel. Until the mask becomes so familiar, you forget there's a face beneath it. This is the paradox. The people who seem the most put together are often the ones carrying the heaviest weight. And the tragedy is not that they suffer, it's that they suffer alone, believing that to need help is to fail at being human. It begins early, not always with trauma, sometimes with something quieter. A parent who was too tired to hold your sadness, a sibling who mocked your tears, a classroom where vulnerability was punished with ridicule. You learned, without anyone teaching you directly, that your feelings were inconvenient, burdensome, too much. So you made yourself smaller. Psychologists call this emotional suppression, the chronic inhibition of emotional expression. But it's more than just not crying. It's a full-scale shutdown, a severing of the connection between what you feel and what you allow yourself to show. Over time, you don't just hide your emotions from others, you hide them from yourself. Often, this pattern forms in childhood within what attachment theory calls insecure, avoidant attachment. If your caregivers were emotionally unavailable, dismissive, or inconsistent, you adapted. You stopped reaching out. You stopped expecting comfort. You learned that survival meant self-sufficiency, that love was conditional on not needing too much. And so you became fine. Not because you were, but because you had to be. Picture this. You're 8 years old, sitting at the dinner table. Your parents are arguing, again. You feel the knot in your stomach, the tightness in your chest. You want to cry, but you've learned that crying makes things worse. So you smile. You ask if you can be excused. You go to your room and play quietly, so no one has to worry about you too. You become the easy child, the one who doesn't complain, the one who makes things lighter, not heavier. And somewhere in that moment, a part of you decides, my feelings are not safe to feel. Now, decades later, you do it without thinking. Someone asks how you are, and before you even check in with yourself, you say, "Good, thanks." You cancel plans because you're exhausted, but you say it's because something came up. You carry stress like a backpack full of stones, and when someone notices and asks if you're okay, you laugh it off. Yeah, just tired. You do this in relationships. You prioritize their feelings over yours, you solve their problems, you listen endlessly, but when it's your turn to speak, you minimize. It's not a big deal. I'm handling it. You convince yourself that being low maintenance makes you easier to love. You do this at work. You say yes when you mean no. You take on more than you can carry because saying "I can't" feels like admitting weakness. And when you finally break, when the exhaustion catches up, you feel ashamed, like you've failed some invisible test. You do this with yourself. You ignore the signs, the headaches, the insomnia, the tightness in your chest that never quite goes away. You push through because that's what you do, because stopping feels indulgent, because rest is something you'll earn later, once everything is done, except everything is never done. And so you keep pretending. You keep performing fineness like it's a role you were cast in without auditioning. And the cruelest part, you're good at it. So good that people believe you, so good that you almost believe you, but underneath there's a version of you that's screaming, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, persistently. The way someone might knock on a door that never opens. Psychologists describe this as cognitive dissonance, the discomfort that arises when your internal experience contradicts your external expression. You feel one thing, show another, and the gap between the two creates a low-grade suffering that never quite resolves. It's exhausting, like running a marathon while pretending you're standing still. And over time, you lose touch with what's real. You can't tell the difference between "I'm fine" as a truth and I'm fine as a defense. You stop trusting your own feelings because you've spent so long dismissing them. You wonder why intimacy feels impossible, why people say they don't really know you, even though you've known them for years, why loneliness follows you even in crowded rooms. It's because you've been hiding, not from others, from yourself. But here's what you need to hear. You're not broken for learning to survive this way. You're adaptive. You're resilient. The part of you that learned to say, I'm fine, did so to protect you. It kept you safe when it wasn't safe to fall apart. It carried you through moments when no one else could. That part deserves gratitude. Not shame, but it also deserves to rest. Because the truth is, you don't have to be fine anymore. You don't have to hold it together for everyone else. You don't have to earn love by being easy, by taking up less space, by pretending your pain doesn't matter. It does matter. You matter. And healing begins the moment you stop performing. It starts with something small. The next time someone asks how you are, pause, take a breath, check in with yourself before you answer. You don't have to unload everything, but you also don't have to lie. You could say, honestly, I've been better. You could say, I'm struggling a little. You could say, I don't really know. And watch what happens. Watch how the people who love you don't pull away. Watch how vulnerability doesn't repel them. It invites them closer. Watch how the intimacy you've been craving was always just on the other side of honesty. This is the practice, allowing yourself to be human. Not perfect, not fine, not strong all the time, just real. Because here's the thing they never told you. People don't love you because you're easy. They love you because you're you. And when you hide yourself, your fears, your struggles, your tenderness, you rob them of the chance to love all of you. Not just the polished version. There's a concept in therapy called reparenting. The process of giving yourself what you didn't receive as a child. For you, that might mean learning to hold your own sadness with the same gentleness you wish someone had shown you. It might mean speaking to the part of you that learned to say, I'm fine, and saying thank you for protecting me. But I've got it from here. It might mean crying when you need to cry, resting when you're tired, asking for help without apologizing. It means remembering that you are not a burden. You never were. You were just a child who needed more than you were given. And now, as an adult, you get to give that to yourself. So if you're reading this and you recognize yourself in these words, if you've spent years pretending, performing, protecting everyone but yourself, I want you to know, you can stop now. You can let the mask slip. You can be tired. You can be uncertain. You can be messy and still be loved. Because the people who matter, they're not waiting for you to be fine. They're waiting for you to be real. And the truth, the one you've been afraid to speak, is this. You don't have to carry the weight of the world to deserve a place in it. You already belong, just as you are.